Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we'll talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political and national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, Tribunal nullifies Adeleke's victory, declares Oyetola as winner. And later on the show, PDP targets more Wike supporters for punishment, suspend its party chairman in Ebonyi indefinitely, and others. In the course of the program, we'll take your questions, but first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. I have joining me via Zoom, the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of Issues with Jide. PKO.
Yeah, good evening. Happy to do this with you again today.
Right. Let's set the ball rolling. The Election Petitions Tribunal hearing the APC's Oyetola's petition against the victory of the PDP's Adeleke on Friday annulled the result of the July the 16th Osun governorship poll. Could this deal a death blow to Mr. Adeleke's reign as the governor of Osun State?
Perhaps. It's not the final court. The Election Petitions Tribunal is not the final court. Adeleke has the right of appeal, and the matter could get all the way to the Supreme Court. I'm very certain that to get all the way to the Supreme Court, which is the final court. And who knows? The Supreme Court will either decide to affirm and uphold the judgment of the tribunal, or see things differently and affirm that Governor Adeleke was properly elected. No one can say at this stage how the matter will be decided in the final analysis. We are not lawyers, and sometimes these cases can be, these judges can be unpredictable. They see some things that we do not see. So it's difficult to say that this is the way it will end. But many lawyers have told me that the judgment was well grounded in law, and we just need to wait to see what will happen in the final analysis.
Okay, the chairman of the Osun State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal. Can you hear me, BKO? Right. So the chairman of the Osun State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal, that's Tese Kume, mocked Governor Adeleke while delivering the majority judgment that the second respondent cannot, quote, go lo and buga as a duly elected governor of Osun State. That was meant to be a joke, right? But could this line be used against the tribunal at the appellate court?
No. That's you cannot. You can't use that. The appeal court will look at the facts of the matter. The appeal court will look at the pleas made by both the lawyers representing the two contending parties. It is the law that it is the primacy of the law that we shall see in the dispensation of this case, not a funny remark made by the judge in giving the judgment. The judge never showed any form of bias in the course of the trial. If he had done that, the Adeleke camp would have protested against him. We've seen that happen in the past, but it did not show any kind of bias, and they did not ask for his removal or his replacement by anybody. So he used those words. It's a kind of poetic license that judges use. Judges sometimes abuse litigants standing before them, sometimes even using unprintable words against litigants. I've seen judges abuse even lawyers and question the education of the lawyer, arguing a case before them. In judgments, I've seen a female judge abuse Justice Okonabang, one of the most popular judges in our country, in a manner that suggested that she felt that Okonabang did not know anything about the law. So sometimes these judges can use this kind of words. It does not mean that it was biased. It is the matter before the court that the court will look at it too. It is how the lawyers argue the case before them that will determine whether they win the case. So the case will certainly go before the appeal court, and it is a fact of the case that the Adeleke camp will present before the judges of the appeal court, hoping that the judgment of the tribunal can be overturned. They are not going to busy themselves with a remark that the judge made. I did not think that it was necessary to say that, but you cannot discountenance the judgment and the law as quoted by the judge in giving that judgment just because he made a funny remark. Was just trying to say that you cannot jubilate that you have won the election because you are not properly elected. That's metaphorically what he was trying to say by saying you cannot and you cannot buga. That means you can't go out there jubilating that you won the case, where in actual fact, you can't go out there jubilating that you won the election when the facts before him showed that you benefited from unlawful votes. And what are unlawful votes in this case? Excess votes, votes that were not recognized by the beavers. The beavers is the electronic accreditation module of INEC. The beavers is backed by law. So if at a polling station, the votes are recorded in excess of the number of people that beavers recognized as having been accredited to take part in that election on that day, then the law has been breached, and those votes by the letters of the Electoral Act are going to be deemed invalid. The law seeks to punish election rigging in different ways. If at a polling station, voting was characterized by violence, snatching of ballot boxes, and all that, the votes recorded in such a polling station shall be deemed as wasted. In fact, by INEC's rule book, any polling station where voting is characterized by violence, the returning officer shall not return any vote, from that polling station. And by the same token, if there is evidence of overvoting at any polling station, votes recorded at such polling stations shall be deemed to have been wasted. That is what the law says. The votes recorded there shall be cancelled. APC identified more than 700 polling stations, more than 700 polling units where overvoting took place. They asked for the Beavers report. The Beavers report showed that in many places, the figures recorded as the number of people accredited at many polling units did not tally with the results entered into the form EC8A, which is the document on which the results of the election are written. So if 30 people were accredited to vote at a polling station, let me just give that as an illustration. Let's say in CMD Road, where TVC is located, Beavers accredited 30 persons to vote at that particular polling station. And at the end of the day, the votes recorded in that polling unit was in excess of the number of accredited voters, not registered voters. The number of accredited voters. It means that rigging are taking place. It means that overvoting are taking place. And by law, the results from that polling unit shall be cancelled. That is what the Electoral Act stipulates. And that was why the judge, the two of the judges in their wisdom decided to cancel the election in the places where verifiable report of overvoting took place. And when I say verifiable report, that is the report, the Beavers report provided by the INEC. Because the first thing APC asked for was the Beavers report. INEC provided them the Beavers report. INEC then proceeded, after PDP also asked for Beavers report. INEC proceeded to issue another Beavers report claiming that it had not synchronized both its electronic module with its analog voting module. That means what I'm saying is that it had not synchronized the records in the form EC8A with the record provided by Beavers. Absolutely. And the judge said there's no such thing as synchronizing those records because you have provided the Beavers report. And that Beavers report you provided, it was on the basis of that you declared the candidate the winner. You cannot, in the course of the trial, come up with a fresh Beavers report, especially when the first time you were providing that Beavers report, you didn't say that it was an interim report. So you see that the Osun election has taught us a few lessons. That technology is not the problem. That we human beings are the problem. Because Beavers did its work. But Beavers was bypassed again and again and again in the course of that election. But at the end of the day, it is the Beavers record that still gave victory to Oyetola, because the Beavers report did not tally with what was entered into Form EC8A, which is the recognized form on which election results are written. So this is the main crux of this matter.
Right.
10 local governments were affected. 10 local governments were affected, and results from those 10 local governments were annulled. So invalid results were removed, and by the time the computation of valid results was made, Oyetola was ahead of Governor Adeleke, and the tribunal proceeded to declare him winner simply on the basis of removing invalid results, from the totality, from the quantum of results that they came up with at the election.
Right. Let me quickly take two comments because we need to race on. Fabian Akeze says, Adeleke is a popular man that knows nothing about politics. As soon as he assumed the governor, he began to attack the APC, forgetting the Osun people. This is another Ihedioa kind of judgment. Tony Goodman says, Jide, why is it that our judiciary lack integrity? Is the highest bidder and the person with deep pockets carries the day. There is one comment I would like you to react to. Hakeem Mohammed says, good evening, Jide. I heard Adeleke does not have the right to appeal the tribunal judgment because the judgment was against INEC. How true is that? Very quickly.
INEC is not the governor of the state. The subject of that election is Adeleke himself. He's the winner of the election, he's the governor of the state, he is the person that Oyetola wants his seat. I mean, it was Oyetola that was taken, it was Adeleke that was taken to court. If INEC was joined, it is the normal thing to do because INEC conducted the election. But if INEC conducted an election in which overvoting took place, INEC could not defend itself on the matter of overvoting. So it was not difficult for those judges to come to that conclusion that yes, overvoting took place on a big scale. So Adeleke has every right to appeal. He has appealed. He has promised to appeal, and it is not INEC that Oyetola took to court. Oyetola took Adeleke to court, affirming that he won the election. Adeleke didn't win. Oyetola is after Adeleke's seat, not after the INEC chairman's seat. It's Adeleke's seat that is after. Even if his mission was not simply to sue INEC. His mission was to sue Adeleke and take Adeleke's seat. So this is what it is, and it's the two men who will slug it out at the appeal court. INEC can be joined,
right?
But the substantive suit is actually involves Adeleke.
All right. Let's change tack by looking at the other issue. In what might be termed as a gradual crackdown on Governor Wike's supporters who are against the Iyorchia Ayu leadership of the PDP, the party's NWC has placed the chairman of its Ebonyi State chapter, Okorie Tochukwu Okorafor, on immediate suspension. Does it seem that PDP does not give a hoot about the G5 governors, threats?
Yeah, the way it is now, the two contending groups are not shifting ground. Even when the G5 tell you, look, we are not leaving the PDP, we are still in the PDP. Yes, they are still in the PDP, but they have no plan to support the candidate of the PDP. At least up till now, that has not changed. And when the governor of Oyo State stayed away from the rally, from Atiku's rally, he explained that he stayed away because he had already pulled out of his campaign. So this is the situation. They are fighting one another. They are unable to come together as one indivisible unit. And this is why some of us think that, look, PDP's chances will be badly hurt by this refusal to resolve, by their inability to resolve what was supposed to be a family issue. And by going after Wike's men, the IU-led leadership of the PDP is merely digging in and sending a message to Wike and Co. that they are not weaklings. So this is what we are seeing. We saw the other day that the ESCO of the party in Ekiti State was dissolved, and the leaders placed on suspension, including even the candidates of the party who had emerged as standard bearers of the party for the general election. They were suspended. So the party is trying to send a message to people that, look, if you support the G5, then you should be ready for the consequences. They are trying to say that, look, the law, the constitution of the PDP, especially section 51 of its constitution as amended in 2017, must be respected. And in the case of the chairman who was suspended, it was said that he stayed away from a rally of the party. When you stay away from the rally of the party without any valid reason, it's like you do not support the aspiration of the party. No? So the party felt that it had to move against this individual. Sections 57.3 of the PDP constitution says the working committee at any level of the party and the executive committee at the ward level may, after preliminary hearings, suspend a member from the party for a period not exceeding 1 month, during which period the member so suspended shall lose his right to contest any election and shall be referred to the appropriate disciplinary committee. So according to the PDP, Okorie was suspended over allegations of anti-party activities and violation of the provisions of section 58.1 of the Constitution as amended in 2017. Former Enugu Governor Nnamani and Chris Obu from Imo State have been similarly suspended, along with Fayose and the rest of them. So this is yet another evidence that the crisis within the PDP is still on. No sign of a let-up. They are fighting one another. They've not found a way to come together. And the elections are less than a month away. If it goes on like this, those individuals will work against their party, and it will badly hurt the PDP. The APC lost no less than 4 or 5 states to the PDP in 2019 because of this kind of squabbles between party leaders. Politicians hardly learn their lessons. You, as a person, should have found a way to have this result. Should have found a way to have this result. But the way it's going about it, it seems that it's going for broke. It thinks that whatever happens, they can win the election even without those individuals. That looks to me like a pipe dream. You win elections when you put your house together, when everyone is working as one, when everyone commits to that goal of delivering victory in the election, not when people are singing from different hymn books. You got to sing from the same hymnal. If you can't sing from the same hymnal, then victory will be difficult for you to achieve. Some other person will probably have sacrificed his position for the overall good of the party. But the Yochiayu is a different kind of person. He doesn't want to give up that position for any reason, despite earlier promising that if the presidential candidate emerges from the north, that he will give up his position, which is the way the party has always handled things. But Yocha Ayu has decided to dig in. The G5 governors have decided to dig in as well. And time will tell how this whole thing will pan out and whether the PDP will emerge weaker from it or stronger from it.
Yeah, it's very similar to the question I just want to put forth to you. But Governor Wike says, or he said, the alleged plot to punish him for insisting on equity and fairness in the party would make the party lose the presidential election. That is position. Where do you think this might actually lead, the warring parties? Does Governor Wike have anything to lose at all in this game?
Wike has nothing to lose. He's going to do his best to ensure that his candidate wins the governorship election in Rivers State. But in the presidential election, he's going to work against his party. How he intends to do that, I don't exactly know. But I know that he does not want to work for Atiku. Seyi Makinde has also said clearly that he will not support Atiku. So I don't know how the PDP allowed things to degenerate to this point. It's just selfishness and the greed for power that has led the PDP to this point. And there's no alternative to mending fences. They've got to find a way to come together and resolve this. If they can resolve this, they will become stronger, and it will put them in a really strong position to challenge for the presidency. But if they go into this race, having lost 5 governors, they might as well kiss the presidency goodbye.
Fabian Akeze says, if APC wins the 2023 elections, then PDP might be only active in Rivers State, as most PDP governors would defect to the APC, and Yocha Ayu must take the blame. Tony Goodman says, does it mean that Governor Wike and G5 governors cannot take Ayu to court for reneging on the agreement reached during the PDP primaries?
It's not every matter that the courts can resolve. Internal matters of political parties are not even subject to adjudication by the courts. It is only when it is very evident that maybe in the course of the party primaries, you cheated someone, somebody won, and you did not allow the person to emerge, then that can form a basis to go to court. But if someone made a verbal promise and he did not put it in writing, he did not sign, I doubt if you can press charges against that person. And if you do it, you would only have wasted the time of the court, because he could say that he changed his mind. No, I don't think that kind of promise is legally binding. He must have looked at the loopholes that were there before insisting that he will hang on. So if he had put it in writing and he signed, it could form the basis for a court action. But in this case, it was a verbal pronouncement. And they have been arguing, and he has the support of the NWC. They have been arguing that, look, the time is not good enough for them to take that kind of decision, because it is too close to the election. That is the argument of many PDP leaders, that they can't change their leader now because it's too close to the election.
Let's see. I think we have some comments here still. We are still learning. That's Musa Ajibola says we are still learning electioneering process, especially the use of technology. May God help our country. Tony Goodman is here saying, Jide, please kindly predict the winner of the presidential election: Obi, Tinubu, or Atiku. Somebody is actually racing to the end of February.
Oh, it's too early. But I will predict. And by the grace of God, since the year 2003, I have never failed to predict the winner of the presidential election correctly. I have never failed. Even as editor of the news magazine, in 2011, 48 hours to the election, I wrote the cover story, and I detailed state by state how the election would be won. I only failed to get 2 states right out of 36. I predicted an overwhelming win for Goodluck Jonathan, and he won. In 2015, I made a prediction. It was correct. In 2019, I made a prediction. It was correct. So this one, I know who will win. I know who will win this election. And as far as I remain objective, I know that my journalistic prediction would come to pass. When I predicted that Oyetola will win the election, and it turned out the way it turned out, they called me names, they said all kinds of things. But as we can see, when the invalid votes were removed, it was still Oyetola that won, which means that I was vindicated at the end of the day, because I didn't see him losing that election, you know. But where people will vote up till 10 p.m. and they were not properly monitored, and some of them didn't have PVCs. They bypassed the beavers, and they continued to vote. We saw the outcome. But beavers stepped in again. The beavers report showed us all the negative things that happened in that election. And it showed us that Oyetola was the winner when the invalid votes were deducted. He won the election by a fairly good margin.
Are you looking at it from, okay?
I have no regrets predicting that Oyetola will win the election, and I still think that given all that panned out, my judgment was right.
Right. So are you not also looking at it from an angle, because the producer was trying to make me understand that if you look at the Electoral Act, it says if they are overvoting in anywhere, any polling unit or any ward or anything, then that vote cast, the total vote cast there, should be cancelled. So if about 10 local governments are now cancelled, it means that some part of Osun State, out of the 30 local governments that we have in Osun State that elected their governor, have been disenfranchised. Could this be laid? Could this be an argument that could be laid in court?
Well, the law is what it is. The law seeks to discourage rigging. If more than 10 local governments had been involved, then it would have been a basis for a rerun election. There are 30 or 31 local governments, I think, in Osun State. So 20 results from 20 local governments were used to determine the winner of the election. It's not the first time that has happened. It happened. It happened during the contest between Oyetola and Adeleke. And by the time invalid votes were deducted, Adeleke won. I think about 10 local governments were also similarly affected at that time. Can't remember whether it was 8 or 10. Certainly between 8 and 10. So that's what the law says. We can't continue to have election rigging in our country. Let the people freely choose their leaders. And if we said we are going to deploy technology to help us in our electoral process, people should not bypass technology. We want human interference in the process to be as minimal as possible. But as we have seen, how can we have overvoting in more than 700 polling units? I mean, it's crazy. Let's tell ourselves the truth. More than 700 polling units, and both parties were involved. Both parties benefited from this overvoting. But at the end of the day, all those efforts came to nothing. That is good. Wherever you snatch ballot boxes, wherever you get involved in other forms of violence, wherever you do vote rigging, your efforts should come to nothing. That is what the Electoral Act stipulates. We are all happy when the Electoral Act came out. We can't now complain when judges fully implement the Electoral Act, fully use the Electoral Act in coming to judgment. We can't complain because we saw that stipulation in the Electoral Act that where there is overvoting, results will be cancelled. It's there. So, and this overvoting, even INEC could not deny that there was overvoting because their own documents that they brought before the tribunal showed serious overvoting in more than 700 polling stations. Abba, what kind of people are we? What kind of people are we? this is it. It is Naira that we are looking for now. It's Naira. The CBN governor has made Naira so scarce. At the MM2, all of the ATMs at the MM2, not one of them was dispensing a Naira note. Not one. And when I asked them, after I got back from Accra yesterday, they said for 3 days, none of the ATMs at the airport has dispensed a Naira note. So if you want to give me something, it should be this new Naira note that Emefiele and co have said we must have, and they are not giving us enough.
That's the thing.
They don't
That's
have
the
it sufficiently. That's what you should give me. I don't need dollars at this time. I need Naira notes. So maybe you should help. Put it in an ATM near my house. I will go there and pick it. I need Naira. Naira is more useful to me now than the dollar.
After now.
Because the deadline is coming.
It's even here. It's just Tuesday. Well, with that, that's our show. Well, that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses. As always, speak here.
Thank you, Ibrahim. We'll be happy to do this again. As we've never missed this thing since the program began. We've never missed a single episode.
Right.
Wherever it finds us, we are happy to do it.
Absolutely.
And we are happy too that we have dedicated viewers, Fabia Akeze and the rest of them. We are happy. We are happy that they love Nigeria. They are committed to Nigeria's growth and development, and we will continue to be partners in progress with them.
Absolutely. Even my family is having a ceremony, a burial ceremony for my grandma today. I had to race down to the studio to catch up with the program, and that's the way we do it here on the program.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Wike.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks to you, to our audience, for joining us on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim TVC News. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.